Welcome back to Ask Niko, where you guys ask me questions and I try to give you guys advice. The first question is, Yo Niko, I'm 17 and I struggle to find a girlfriend. It's true that I look like I'm 16, but I also get called handsome a lot. It is also true that I'm kinda scared to get rejected, but I hit the gym, I do boxing, and in September I'm joining a varsity football team. But all my confidence goes away when I remember that I'm 5'7". Greetings from Spain. Thank you for your comment, and okay, there's a lot to unpack here. So you said that you're 17 and you struggle to find a girlfriend. It doesn't really matter at that age. You're going to find a girlfriend. You're most likely going to break up with her after a few months anyway. But then again, there have been true love stories of high school sweethearts. I actually know a couple. So I wouldn't really worry about it, but I'm going to humor you. So, part 2 of this. It's true that you look 16. It's true that you look 16 years old even though you're 17. Okay, let me tell you something. It does not matter if you look 16 as a 17-year-old. I know it might seem like a huge difference right now, but it really does not. And if you're getting called handsome, I don't think you really have that big of an issue. Now, you did say that you're scared to be rejected, and I know that it's a hard thing to deal with, especially when you're in high school. But look, I'm not going to lie to you and say that the worst thing she can say is no, whoever you're thinking about asking out. I can't guarantee you that it won't be an awkward interaction or an unpleasant one if she says no, but that's just kind of what comes with the territory. You know, don't be afraid to be rejected. You can just go to the next one. There's plenty of women out there for you to talk to, or I guess girls your age. And as far as you doing boxing in September and varsity football, that should be pretty much good. You know, that's considered high riz in high school, and good for you, man. I mean, it seems like you have hobbies and sports and things that you're doing, so, and girls like that stuff, so that's a huge plus when it comes to talking to girls and, you know, them wanting to talk to you. Now, as far as your confidence going away when you remember that you're 5'7", you also have to remember that you're only 17. You might get a growth spurt in, like, I don't know, you could get a growth spurt between now and 22 as a guy. Okay, that's like one of those things that just is very weird for men. But also, I wouldn't worry about that. I mean, yes, there are girls that are shallow that won't date you because you're 5'7", but it's also a plus in your advantage because then you'll know what girls you want to mess with. If a girl is not going to date you because you're 5'7", then you should put a scale in front of her and say, I guess I won't date you if you're not below a certain weight. You know, it's the same thing. It's a very shallow thing to consider when you're trying to date someone, okay? Now, even though there isn't really a question here, I'm kind of getting what you're putting down, and you're saying you're struggling to find a girlfriend. The truth is, all you really need to do is talk to girls, okay? Just talk to them. Talk to them like they're people. Don't talk to them like you're trying to seduce them. The more you try, the more desperate you seem, the less they're going to be inclined to, you know, to date you or be your girlfriend. Let's say you have a school crush. I don't know the exact situation, but let's say that you do, and you don't really talk to her too much or do anything of the sort. But you do know of her and she may know of you, so just go up to her and say, hey, I think that you have beautiful taste in clothing, okay? Like, compliment her on something that she worked to do. Like, don't compliment her on her eyes or her face or anything. Like, she didn't do that. She just kind of spawned in with that, okay? So if you like her taste in clothes, if you like her taste in jewelry, if you like the way she wears her hair, right? Not her hair color, the way she, you know, maybe puts it up in a bun or whatever. Just style. Style is very easy to do with girls because most girls love to deal with clothing and their styling, okay? Or if you know something more about her, let's say you know that she's a soccer player, okay? And she plays soccer on the weekends with her team, and you compliment her on her soccer skills. Something like that. Like, it can be anything that she has tried to work on in order to make better, and she would enjoy the compliment more of. And from there, just have a conversation, see the chemistry. Maybe you don't really like talking to her. Maybe you love talking to her and you want to talk to her more. And from that point on, you might say, hey, would you like to go out with me? As on a date. Like, make your intentions clear. Don't try to be her friend. Don't try and just be Mr. Nice Guy. Just say, look, I think you're pretty. I like your clothing. I like this. I like this about you. And I would like to take you out on a date. And if she says no, fine. Just move on. If she says yes, great. There you go. And I know that you're from Spain, so there might be a difference in how you guys court each other over there. So in that case, try your best to maneuver through that and play it by the social standards or the societal standards in Spain. As far as the fear of being rejected, I definitely relate with you, okay? I was definitely not the smooth talker in high school, okay? I did not have women talking to me in that way. In fact, the only girlfriend I had in high school was, I don't exactly even remember how it happened. I just know that she was looking at me a certain way, and I kind of realized that she might have liked me. And we were at this bowling alley doing varsity bowling of all things. So it was just a very strange situation. I mean, hey, a lot of the people that I wanted to ask out, I still wonder today, like, what if I had actually asked that person out? And I realized that it doesn't even really matter, okay? Because what worst case scenario, they say no, and I'm butthurt for a day, but that's it. Then I move on. As opposed to always constantly living with that thought in your head of, damn, I could have done that. I should have done that. Don't make yourself regret your lack of decisions / going for it. Anyway, there's a lot more to unpack there, but I hope this helps. And yeah. The next question is from Rage Samurai X. Hey Niko, how is the relationship between you and your parents? I can't help but feel mine always undermine me, making me easily lose motivation despite grand ideas. Every time I see someone who seems to be more successful than I am, I always felt like they have solid foundations whilst mine are shaky. Someone once said how parents affect your entire life, and I'm starting to believe it. So here's the thing, okay? I can't lie to you. My relationship with my parents is great. Okay, my mother is the most caring and loving person in the entire world. And my father, even though I'm not as close with him, it's not like neither of them ever undermined me in a way that made me lose motivation. I can't relate / give you really an understanding about that. But what I can say is that it seems like you have this confirmation bias in your head that just because somebody has a good home life that they're successful. There are many people who have issues with their parents, people that don't have parents, people who have a myriad of problems in their family and their home life, and they still manage to do many successful things. Now, is it easier to do things when you come from a loving and supporting household? Of course. There's no denying that. But you also shouldn't really use it as a crutch to say that, you're losing motivation despite your grand ideas. At the end of the day, I don't know how old you are, but I'm going to assume you're probably in the middle school, high school range. At some point, your parents are not going to control your life. You're going to live your own life, be your own person. And if they're not supportive of that, then I guess they're going to ruin their relationship with you. Just hang in there in that regard. And a way to kind of deal with this, I would say, is try to surround yourself with like-minded individuals. So the grand ideas that you have, try and share them with people that you think would be good to talk to about or share with. Try and find people that agree with you. Try to find people that would have your back if you were to do one of these grand ideas, and then get feedback. And all of a sudden, you won't really care that much about what your parents are saying because the people that you choose to hang out with are kind of there to support you in these endeavors. Anyway, hope this helps. Best of luck, and don't rely on your parents for motivation. The next question is from Noah. My friends are all jerks to me and leave me out of everything, and it's mainly one of them. And if I stop being friends with them, I know I would lose the rest of my friends because I'm everyone's least favorite. I'm scared to be alone. Please help me out. So, here's the thing. If your friends are all jerks to you, are they really your friends? And if they leave you out of everything, are they really your friends? This seems to me like you're kind of hanging out with people that don't deserve your time or don't deserve your company. In my opinion, fuck them, okay? There's no reason you should be part of that friend group if you feel like they're treating you that way, okay? There's no reason for it. You will find other friends, okay? The world has 7 billion people. One of them is going to be willing to be your friend, okay? There is no shortage of people that need friends. There's no shortage of people that want friends. And there's no shortage of people that have that same experience as you. I don't know where you are in your life, but if you're still in school, there has to be a different group of people in school that you might be interested in talking to. School is a very small world, so I understand that it's going to be easier said than done. Just try talking to some new people. Try to distance yourself from that friend group. If everyone that's not the main guy that you say that's being a jerk to you, let's call him Dave. Let's say that Dave is the only one being a jerk to you. If the rest of them don't try and reach out to you and say, where have you been? Why aren't you hanging out with us? Then those aren't your real friends. You need to find new people to call your friends because those are just the wrong people for you. And as far as being alone, don't be scared of being alone, okay? People are never alone. There's always somebody. There's always somebody that shares your point of view. There's always somebody that has the same struggles as you. And there's always somebody that's just going to be around. Okay, as long as you put yourself in a position where you can be around people, they will be there. Okay, now they might not be your best friends, they might just be acquaintances, but you have to start as acquaintances to make friends and make memories with them so they become your best friends. Anyway, I hope this helps, and don't talk to those jerks anymore. You deserve better. The next question is from Sleek. Niko, how does one relax about the idea of death? Also, I love your videos. Please keep making them. Well, thank you, Sleek. And the idea of death. This is a tricky one, okay? There's entire books that have been written about the fear of death that us as humans have, because it's kind of a unique issue because we're so, I guess, aware of our own existence that we're aware of the fact that we're all going to die someday. I'll give you my experience. I'm not afraid of death, and I haven't been for a while because I know it's inevitable. Everybody dies. Every single person. So there's no point in thinking about that fact. One day it's going to happen and that's it. If there's a way to avoid death entirely, then maybe I would say, maybe stress about it. But I wouldn't care that much. And here's a little secret. I don't think anything happens after we die. I think it just lights out. You're just another atom in the universe, okay? You're just energy that just became non-energy and got transferred into heat. That is my personal view. Now, that's a very grim view to have, but it's also freeing because you now understand that what you have here in life is so special and that you should use it. You should use your life and live it the way you want to. And you should not worry about things such as death because it's going to happen, man. I hate to break it to you, but it's going to happen. So instead of worrying about death, worry about how you're going to live your life so that death is not as scary. Hope that makes sense. And the next question is from Free Fallen. So I just wanted to start off by, I have really been enjoying your YouTube videos lately, and I guess my question would be, I have been trying to pursue YouTube/TikTok, but every time I try, I'll do it for a while, then I'll just stop for some unknown reason. I know that when I want to do something, I should just do it and not even think about it, but I don't know what is stopping me from pursuing that, and I'm having such a hard time trying to actually put myself into it. I don't know if it's just I'm overwhelmed with work/life balance, and I just want to relax and chill, but yeah. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I do not recommend content creation in any way, shape, or form. Okay, I do not recommend pursuing YouTube. I do not recommend pursuing TikTok. I do not recommend it. Now, I realize that this might sound a bit hypocritical coming from a YouTuber, but it's the truth, okay? If you look on the stats of what every kid in school wants to be right now, it's YouTuber. Okay, it used to be astronaut, doctor, lawyer, things that are actually, useful to society. The thing is, YouTube is a grind and a journey that is hard and unforgiving, okay? It took me a decade to get any sort of recognition on YouTube. A full decade, all right? I started when I was 13, 14 years old, and I'm now almost 23. Not to mention that I was constantly changing what I wanted to be my niche throughout said decade. Also, I'm the king of doing content for a while, then just stopping for some unknown reason, okay? That's just part of it being a hobby for you. Sometimes you get bored. Sometimes you just don't want to deal. Maybe you're not getting the views you want, so it kind of kills your motivation or your drive. And I understand the whole work-life balance thing, and you don't even want to think about it sometimes, but that's just part of it. Pursuing content creation is a constant grind. It's a constant machine. You always have to keep pumping out content. Okay, you keep having to do it. You have to be consistent and you have to keep going at it. And people hate hearing the whole consistency thing. It's a real thing because I was inconsistent for years upon years. All right, and that's why nothing ever got done because I kept trying things that I didn't like eventually and gave up. I could have made it 3 times over by now, but I just didn't have the discipline for it. I didn't have the discipline, I didn't have the will, and I just didn't want to do it. But finally, something clicked. Finally, after a decade, something clicked, and I said, you know what? Enough is enough. I don't want to half-ass this anymore. The difference now is that I wanted to be a YouTuber when it wasn't necessarily cool to be a YouTuber. Okay, it had just started being cool. So I took all those years, I grew, and I adapted with the website and how it changed over the years, how it went from, the gaming invasion, the Vine invasion, the adpocalypse, then Mr. Beast. I followed all of those things, okay? I had to do that much learning to finally get to the point where I am now. Another reason that I don't advise it is because most people now see Mr. Beast and they see what he's doing and they say, I want to be Mr. Beast, I want to do what he's doing. And to that, I will say to you, no, you do not. You do not want to be Mr. Beast because being Mr. Beast requires you to not sleep. It requires you to constantly think of YouTube and making videos to a point where it's unhealthy and you have no life. Because that's the reality of being that guy. That's the reality of being the best in your field. I would consider Mr. Beast the Elon Musk of YouTube. Mr. Beast is an anomaly that we probably won't see for another 100 years in this type of genre. No matter how many copycats, none of them will be him. If you're seeing Mr. Beast and you're seeing how he's doing and how much money he's making and whatever he's doing, and you think that's the reason you want to be a YouTuber, then you've already lost the ball because that's not what YouTube is about. That is what YouTube can become if you're that skilled and that talented and that determined. And if you think you have what it takes to be that person, then go right ahead, but be prepared because Based on what you're telling me now, that's not what you want to do. There's honestly so much more I could go on, and there's so much more to unpack there, but here's my ultimate advice for you. If you really think that you want to be a content creator, and you strongly believe it, make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. Make sure you're doing it because it's something that you love to do, not because it's something that you think will make you easy money, because I guarantee you it will not. It will not make you easy money. You will have to struggle. You will have to go through the shits of being a content creator. Be prepared. Okay, be prepared of going a year without getting any views. Be prepared to make 200 videos and get 10 views on each one of them, and then come back to me and say if you really want to be a YouTuber. Be prepared to make things just for yourself so that you can learn how to make videos for a very long time and then come back to me. So if you want to come join the ranks, come join this fight for relevance and fame or whatever the hell I guess you really want from YouTube, go right ahead. But it's going to be a journey. It's going to be a long journey that may or may not be worth it for you. So consider yourself warned. The next question is from Luke Daly. Hi Niko, I feel like I spend my days doing nothing inside, playing video games, watching as life goes past me. Part of me feels like I'm wasting my life, but the other part feels comfortable and happy in this state. I guess my question is, should I be okay with being blissfully detached from reality if it brings me joy? This is a great question, Luke. A really good question. The answer is a big, fat, hard no. You should not be blissfully detached from reality. You should not just be comfortable because it somewhat brings you joy. Because you said it yourself, part of you feels like you're wasting your life. That feeling is not going to go away, and the more you wait, the worse it's going to become. You need to go out and do things, man. You need to experience life to its fullest, okay? Trust me, I've fallen into that trap. I've fallen into that trap of staying inside and doing nothing. And I'm kind of currently in that trap, but I'm giving myself a reason, okay? I have a goal in mind that requires me to lock in, okay? If you don't have a goal in mind, if you're not pursuing something actively and you're just kind of wasting away, go experience some things, man. Go outside. Go meet up with some friends. Go make some friends. Go to a bar. Go to a function. Go to a Renaissance fair for all I care. Just do something. Playing video games is fun, don't get me wrong. It's a great pastime. It's good for you to blow off steam and explore worlds that other people built for you. In many cases, it's even good to socialize. In fact, that's the only reason I really game right now. I either game to make content, which I love doing, and I also game to interact with my friends, interact with friends that I can't necessarily interact with in person. In fact, I have friends that live in Europe, friends that live in Australia. I'm sure there's a couple in South America at this point. The point is, I use it to socialize, or I use it for content creation. But I don't really game on my own that much anymore, because I don't really enjoy it that much. And the reason I don't enjoy it that much is because I just did so much of it as a kid and as a teenager to the point where I got bored. I just got bored of the constant gaming and in some cases grinding because I wanted to get a good rank in Counter-Strike or whatever the hell game I was playing at the time. It's not worth it, man. Go out. As the famous content creators of Yes Theory might say, seek discomfort. If you think that you're too comfortable where you are right now, it's time to look somewhere else. It's time to seek some discomfort. It's time to find something that you're passionate about. I don't know. Just go. Just do it. I don't want to be a Shia LaBeouf clone, but just do it. Now, does this mean that you have to give up gaming altogether like I'm kind of doing? No. You should not do that because it brings you joy. But don't just do that. Do more. In any case, thank you for your comment and best of luck in your endeavors. The next question is from Awina or Awina. I hope I'm pronouncing that somewhat correctly. I've always been a very curious person. I've always found it interesting to delve into a plethora of topics which are foreign to me. However nice that might sound, I actually feel like it's stopping me from truly investing myself into one of them and finding my quote-unquote thing. Have you ever been in that situation before? And if yes, how do you recommend getting out of it and settling down for a quote-unquote home-based topic/activity? Keep up the great work. Well, first of all, before I answer this question, thank you for being a member. I really appreciate you. But I actually just did away with the YouTube memberships and launched a Patreon. With the YouTube membership, you had access to videos early and all the past live streams. But with Patreon, I can offer you more, such as access to my Minecraft world saves and certain Discord privileges and a lot more that you can find on my Patreon at Niko Yaps. So if you would like to show me some extra support, the Patreon link is in the description below. Thank you once again, and now for the answer. I think that it's great that you're a curious person and you're always trying out new things. It's a great exercise for your mind because you're always training yourself to do something new, and it's great to embrace new things. And I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I have struggled with this exact same issue. There came a time in my life where, at least on the YouTube sense, I used to make 5 different types of content. I was making gaming videos, I was making Discord funny moments, I was making role plays, I was doing so many things for so many different games. And of course, as any YouTuber knows, you can't just post every type of thing that you're interested on YouTube. You need to find some sort of a niche or some sort of a concept for your channel. So that kind of was a detriment to my YouTube channel, and I understand that now, and I see where you're coming from. So I eventually settled on this Yap stuff that kind of just came out of nowhere. It was a new hobby, it was a new channel I made that came out of nowhere, and people liked it. So what I'm going to say to you is don't stop what you're doing. Just keep trying things, keep seeing what works, keep seeing what you like. And even if you have like 10 hobbies at the end of the day, you don't have to pursue all of them at the same time. You can do one for a bit, then go to a different one. And things should work out fine that way because you have a lot of interests and you can find different people to do certain interests with. You can make new friends by doing this. And as far as you finding your thing, that thing will just sort of appear to you. One day you're going to find something that you like doing more than anything else in the world. Now that might be knitting, that might be carpentry, that might be building Lego sets. You will find that one of those things is more interesting to you than the rest. And when you find that, you're not going to stop doing it. And even if you don't find that, I don't think there's that big of an issue with it. You're a person of many interests and a person of much curiosity, which is a good thing. Stay curious, okay? It is honestly a great quality to have. Now, this is more if it applies to a hobby. If you're trying to find a thing that you're looking to turn into an occupation or something, that might be a different story. Then you might have to stay a little more consistent. But I don't think there's a problem with what you're doing. I don't think you necessarily need to find a home-based topic. Why not be a jack of all trades in that sense? Why not learn 5 different languages if you don't like just learning 2? Why not be good at doing stuff with your hands while also being good at dealing with, software issues and technology? There really is no downside to doing a lot of things. The only downside is that you will be a master of none. But jack of all trades, master of none is kind of a lot of what most people have to do in their lives anyway. So I don't see a problem with it. I think you're fine. And if you're really longing to find your thing, to find that one thing that's going to be the most interesting to you, just keep looking. Eventually it will come. And if it doesn't come, you will have tried so many things at some point that you will be the best jack of all trades on the planet, and you will probably be the most interesting person to talk to. Anyway, I hope this helps. Best of luck to you. And on to the next question. This question is from Meryl1. Hey, I'm a bit of a determinist. I came to this conclusion from studies, not baseless belief. I think there are biological and environmental factors that set someone up for either success or failure. I wanted to ask, do you genuinely believe in the things that you say? That pursuing your passion will lead you to success? That anyone can quote-unquote make it? I love your videos, and I don't mean to come off as accusatory, but are these things really that realistic? This is also another great question. We got a lot of good ones today. Here's what I'll say to this. I consider myself a realist. And I also understand that there are biological and environmental factors that will set someone up for certain things, right? The nature and nurture concept. As a realist, I understand that not every single person is going to make it. I understand that not every single person is going to find success. But here's my question to you. If you go in with the notion that you have a biological predisposition to not be successful in life, you won't be successful in life regardless. Because you don't actually believe in your own abilities. You have to take calculated risks on yourself. And this is also scientifically studied. If you wake up every day and you tell yourself in the mirror, you're a failure, you won't make it, you're nothing, you will actually start to believe it. You will actually start to have a mental reaction to what you're telling yourself. Because the brain isn't smart enough to understand that this is just you telling yourself something. It's almost like hearing it from other people. Whereas if you wake up every day with a more positive attitude, right? You say, you know what? I'm not doing that well, but I can move through today. I can do it. I will eventually be successful. You will have a much higher likelihood of being successful. And this is coming from me. I'm someone that tells myself all the time, you're doing shit today. You need to get up and fix your act, okay? That's not necessarily the most healthy thing to do, but I'm also not setting myself up for failure by saying I can't do it because my environment or my biology are telling me not to. As far as the biology goes, we will never really know as people if we're truly being inhibited by our biology. And even if we have certain biological issues, let's say you somehow got paralyzed from the waist down, but then you did physical therapy and are now a marathon runner when before you barely went on a walk every day. See, that's like a biological thing that's not a predisposition, but it happened at some point in your life and you were biologically technically not capable of walking again. You still were able to do it. This is not necessarily a predisposition per se, but this is still a situation where someone was told that they were never going to walk again, and they still did it. And in terms of environment, yes, environment can have a huge impact on how you're going to do in life. Environment, if you're in a bad school district, if you're in a bad neighborhood, are all issues that you might have. But if you make the mistake and use that as a crutch to say to yourself you're not going to make it because of that, that's bullshit. That's an excuse. That's just you not wanting to put in the extra effort. Sure, some people have it better than you, but think of how much better you have it than somebody else. If you're able to watch this YouTube video right now, you have it better than most of the third world. So consider yourself lucky in that sense. Consider yourself ahead of lots and lots of people because you have access to certain technologies that others do not. Try your best to be grateful for what you have, even if it's not always the best. So back to your determinist theory, for those of you who don't know, determinists believe that something can only happen one way and there's no other way for it to happen. Well, you're not going to know how that thing is going to happen anyway. There is no real way of knowing how your determinism is going to play out. So why not give yourself the best possible scenario for it to play out? Why not aim for the stars? Because you don't know if you're going to make it. There's no way of you knowing if you're going to do it. There's no real empirical data. The only data that you have is your own mind, okay? Your mind and your ability to control your mind and control your life and do things the way you want them and do things the way they need to be done. Now, I will add this to the equation. If you want to be a basketball player and you don't have arms and hands, you will not be a basketball player. That is one of the cases where I will say that is simply not in the cards for you. But most people have arms. You know what I mean? I can't possibly know the rate of success on what you want to do. But there have been some pretty crazy stories of people succeeding in fields with the biggest handicaps and still being at the top. So do I believe in what I say? Yes. Because theoretically, based on everything I just explained, everyone can succeed, but everyone can also fail. Everyone can be successful because we have a way of measuring success. But we don't necessarily have a way of measuring failure. Because failure is only realistically when you stop trying to do something. Failure is only when you say, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm quitting. Failure is not when you fall down. As long as you get back up, you technically haven't failed. Anyway, a bit of a tangent. I hope this answers your question, but thank you again for your comment. The next question is from Jay Rousey. Hey Niko, wanted to start off by saying I love the way you love to give advice. I live for that. But I wanted to ask you if I should worry about my life after school. I've been pulled out of school countless times to do homeschool, and then I always get put back into school, and then it's a repeat. And I've just never seemed to do good in school with any of the schools I've been to. And even in my homeschool life, I've learned basically nothing in the past 7 years, and I don't think I'll graduate. The only reason I've passed my grades is because I end the year off in homeschool. Do you think I'll go homeless because I won't get a diploma? Okay, so this is a bit of a problematic situation, right? You're struggling with school, and you're struggling a lot from what I can tell. If you're having to be pulled out of school to be put into homeschool only to pass, this is going to be a problem. Now, there's many things that you could consider here. You might want to consider seeing what the issue is with a medical professional. You might have ADHD. You might have dyslexia. You might have a myriad of things that might be disrupting your learning ability. If you go consult medical professionals and you see that nothing is wrong, then it might just be simply that you actually just are not built for school. On the other hand, it might just be the way that you're being forced to learn. Maybe you're a visual learner. Maybe you're a kinesthetic learner instead of being a reading/writing/auditory learner. Maybe at homeschool with your parents aren't good at teaching you anything. Maybe you could consider a tutor or something. And if everything I've just outlined doesn't work, well, then you might want to consider other options because I don't think you would do very well in an office job per se or anything that would require a lot of reading/writing and you sitting in one place. You will probably like doing physical labor type jobs, things that require you to work with your hands and understand things with a more visual sense. Now, those jobs might be harder in theory. You might have to be in the sun. You might have to work in harsh physical conditions, but you won't go homeless. I feel like every person has some part to play in this world, but you might not love the options that you have available to you. Everyone can get a GED, I'm pretty sure. I don't think it's particularly hard for anyone to pass the, I don't know what is it? I think it's a test or something. Basically saying that you finished some version of school. If you get a high school diploma of some sort, whether it's a GED or a normal one, you will be fine. You will be able to find some version of work. You won't go homeless per se. But you're going to have to work 10 times as hard as anybody else because high school doesn't open that many doors to you by default. If you can then bear through trade school and get a trade and be good at that, then you will be fine. If you can't go to trade school, and since you most definitely won't be going to college based on what I'm hearing, you will probably struggle a bit. But if you work hard and smart, you will be fine. In any case, I hope this helps. Best of luck. And the next question is from Martin Mora. Hello, Niko. The thing is the following. From some experiences, I feel that because I am a boy, I cannot express my feelings because they would be ridiculed and not taken seriously. What should I do about that? So you've just walked into the harsh reality of being a male. So here's what I'll tell you. Your feelings matter, my friend. Your feelings matter and you should express them. Now, there is a catch with this. As guys, we don't always necessarily have a free pass with expressing our feelings. Not everyone always gives a shit. So what I will suggest to you is it really depends on your situation. What are you expressing your feelings about? Are you expressing your feelings of discontent? Are you expressing feelings towards a girl you like? Are you expressing your feelings towards your parents? It really depends on what you're doing. But the general rule of thumb with pretty much all of those is you can't bottle your feelings up. You have to allow yourself to talk to people about your feelings. You have to express what you're feeling because you will end up exploding one day. One day, you're going to have so much bottled up that you're just going to push it all down and it's going to come up like a volcano and you won't have a way to stop it at that point. So, you need to be honest with people. You need to tell people how you're feeling. And you need to know that it's okay to do so. If someone is ridiculing you about doing so, odds are they are going to be insecure about expressing their own feelings. Odds are they are as scared as you to do the same thing. And they are envious of you for having the bravery of expressing those feelings. Again, I don't know your specific situation, but go with your gut. No matter how shitty your previous experiences have been, don't fall for the classic male stereotype of having to bottle everything up and just take all of the punches. There is a limit to that, of course. Don't go expressing your feelings to everybody, okay? Not everyone needs to know what you're thinking. Don't go oversharing things if you don't think that you want things to be known. Being vulnerable and expressing your feelings is a hard thing to do, especially for a guy. And I understand you, man, I really do. So once again, when it comes to expressing your feelings, follow your gut and just be cautious of what you're expressing and to who. It is all very dependent on the situation. Best of luck to you. I can't pronounce the name for this next question, but they said, a close friend of mine has started achieving their goals recently and I couldn't be happier for them. But it's also been tough to see at the same time because we share very similar career goals. So seeing him achieve these things that I also would love to do is both inspiring and challenging. It gives me a sense of FOMO or falling behind even if I know in my mind logically that that's not the case. It's tough trying to deal with that emotion. Ultimately, I'm asking, have you ever been in this scenario before? And if you have, how would you deal with it? See, this is a tough one because we're always taught from a young age that we shouldn't envy people. We shouldn't be jealous of people because for A, B reason, right? There are many reasons people say this, but the reality is we don't really control that feeling. We don't control the feeling of envy. We don't control the feeling of wanting what other people have. And it's hard, especially when it's your friend, because you want what's best for your friend. And they, in turn, should want what's best for you. If they are true friends, that is. I've definitely experienced this before. I'm not going to lie. I've experienced this before because I've had friends, of course, that would either do better in school at me, or they would do better in sports than me, or just in general for many reasons. I think the most significant one is that one of them was more successful at YouTube than me, which is my thing, right? That was my thing. I was the YouTube person. I was the guy who did YouTube, right? So especially me having failed at YouTube for so long and somebody else doing better than me was just, it just didn't feel great. So trust me, I get where you're coming from. And to answer, honestly, how do you deal with it? You have to understand something. Everyone is on different timelines, okay? Everyone in the world is on a different timeline. Your timeline might have you succeeding 10 years from when you start, while your friend's timeline might be, 1 year from when they start. And that's not very fair or inspiring to say, but it's the truth. For some people, it's not in the cards in the same amount of time. But on the other hand, that same success that took you 10 years, right, might take somebody else 20 years. However, your friend also has this other goal of becoming the best basketball player at your school. And this kid cannot for the life of him be good at basketball. He can't achieve it. It takes him a lot more time to practice and train and do everything to be one of the best. Where to you, it just comes naturally. To you, that might just come naturally and you're already the best and you're not even really trying. Another thing you can consider about this, right? This is your friend that's achieving what you want to do. Ask them how they're doing it. Ask them how they're achieving said goal. Maybe they're doing something better than you are. Maybe they're doing something different that you haven't thought of. Use your friends to your advantage, right? Use your friends to get ahead in life, and in turn, allow them to use you to do the same. I know this might sound a bit weird because saying the word use might not be the best way to describe it, but I can't figure out a different way to say it. Use them to your advantage. Use your friends, use your connections to your advantage, and who knows, maybe if you follow in those same footsteps, you'll do it quicker. You'll do it alongside them. But regardless of whether or not that applies in this particular case, I don't know your story exactly, don't worry about it. In time, what you're trying to do career-wise is going to fall into place. And I know it's hard, but try your best to not be envious, because nothing is going to really change. The only thing that's going to happen is that you're going to become more depressed and sad about the same fact because of your jealousy and envy. So yeah, don't worry, you'll get there. I believe in you. All right, the next question is, I'm 19 and I'm still living with my mom. I know that eventually I want to move out, and I'm hoping to move out in about 2 years after I get my associate's degree in criminal justice. So my question, or at least one of them is, how can I prepare myself before moving out so I can be ready for living alone as a young adult? Or what should I expect in the first year of being alone? So this is an interesting one. So I never fully lived alone in the sense that I always had a roommate, even when I was in college, right? I first lived in a dorm, so I don't really count that as living alone because you have a person that's like an RA who basically is, it's like your discount parent, but very hands-off. But when I got into my senior year of college, I had 5 roommates. We had a lease, we had a house. So it was an actual full-on functioning house with, well, semi-functioning. We had a lot of problems. In that case, I kind of consider it living alone because it's not with your parents or your family. The only thing I can say to you is that I personally never had the issue of going it alone. I've always been a very independent person because I'm an only child. So there's a lot of times where I've had to be alone in the house because both my parents worked, and they worked jobs that got them home late at night usually. So I basically just had to learn how to keep myself entertained as a teenager. And that made it easier for me to accept the reality of that eventually I'm living alone. But again, I never had that issue. So what to expect and how to prepare? The way you prepare yourself is just think about what it's like when your parents aren't home, or when your mom isn't home in your particular case. Think of what it's like when she's not home, when she's away, she's out, and then try and multiply the amount of time that she's out by 24 hours a day. The real thing that's going to happen is that I don't know what type of mom your mom is, but I'm going to assume that, your mom probably cooks for you. Your mom probably does, a lot of house chores like dishes and other things. Your mom probably does some, I don't know, maybe your laundry. Imagine all those tasks now fall onto you. You're going to start having to cook for yourself. You're going to start having to do your own laundry, do your own dishes, clean up the house. You're going to have to start doing all those things. So the house is now your responsibility. Plus the fact you have to pay rent, plus the fact you have to start paying bills and stuff. And that's a lot, right? That's a lot of stuff to sort of just be dropped on you. But I think the best thing you can do is start doing more of that stuff around the house right now. So let's say your mom cooks every night of the week. Maybe start taking 2 meals a week and say, you know what, Mom, I'll cook something. And you start learning how to cook by doing that, right? You start learning more meals and more dishes. In my case, I didn't really have that option. I mean, I started doing some cooking before I went to college, but I didn't really need to the first couple of years because I was in a dorm. But when I was in college and my meal plan was starting to become less and less because I was trying to get off the meal plan and learn how to cook for myself, because out of college, there's no meal plan. There's no one just making you food every day for free. Well, technically free. So I started teaching myself how to cook while in college, while my meal plans were getting lesser. And now I know how to cook things, and I know how to fend for myself, and I know if I need to make something, I can. And same thing with laundry, right? Learn how to do your own laundry. Learn how to clean the house, what you need to use in terms of cleaning products. Learn how to get tasks done for work, and how to also have to manage a household. And then as far as what you should expect in the first year of being alone, expect this feeling of freedom and also kind of dread, because on one hand, there's no one on your head telling you, hey, you have to do this, this, and this, or clean up after yourself. On the other hand, that person is actually yourself. You're the one that's going to have to say to yourself, you have to get your shit together and clean up after yourself because this house is a pigsty. Or you have to get your shit together because you have work to do, but you also don't have a place to do the work because you're being a mess. Another thing you should expect is the unexpected. Okay? Expect the unexpected. The most dumb things that can possibly happen to you when living alone are going to happen to you. right? You might break your toilet seat or something. You might clog your toilet. You might break a hole in the wall. You don't know what's going to happen. So just expect the unexpected. But best of luck to you, and best of luck with your criminal justice degree. I have a third one here that says, I'm 2 years from graduating high school. I have a pretty good idea of what I want to pursue for college and work. I have good hobbies, exercise, and living a good life. I'm scared though that once I get a job, I'll just live a mundane and repetitive life, working until I retire, even if I'm passionate about my work. I'm not gonna lie, I'm yapping, but how can I find happiness with normal things in life? I know gratefulness and meditation and etc. are good, and I feel like something's missing. By the way, love your vids, it helps a lot. Well, thank you, I appreciate the feedback, and listen man, I'm not gonna lie to you, I have that same issue a lot. I have the same issue of things feeling very mundane for me. I have this chronic problem, and I think a lot of it has to do with social media. I think that's how the social media affects us in this way, which is why it's so toxic. Right before I quit my job recently, I was in that same boat. I was kind of just working my life away. I wasn't really doing much. Right now, I'm not exercising, okay? I'm not really big on hobbies. Like YouTube is my hobby technically, but it turned into a job through the video editing. So trust me, I get what you mean by the repetitive life, working until you retire. The truth is that I don't know. I really don't know how to answer this because I haven't figured out that answer for myself. What I will say is that there is a way to enjoy all these things. And the way to enjoy these things is to add people to the mix. Wherever you work, if it's a job that allows you to interact with people, go out for drinks with those people once in a while. If it's a hobby, invite someone to tag along on your hobby. Maybe it's kayaking, right? Maybe you go kayaking with a friend, or maybe you go skydiving, cliff jumping, whatever the hell it is. I mean, obviously those are kind of extreme hobbies. Let's say it's something more normal like hiking. Invite people to do it with you, or invite your partner if you have one. Exercising, you can do that the same thing. Just adding people to your life, good people by the way, people that you like, people that you want to be around, is always a good way to make sure that you're enjoying life. Because recently I realized that I, right now, am not really socializing and doing a lot of things with other people. And that has brought me to the understanding that having added more people to the mix probably would have made me happier a long time ago. So start adding more people, more of your friends, or at least some of your good friends to the mix of your life. I think that's what really makes the difference. And if you don't have people, try and find them. Try your best to find them. I know it's hard to meet people. I know it's hard to interact with people, and especially with everyone always being on their phones and everyone now being afraid to socialize for A or B reason. Try socializing. Try making your life more social. And I promise you, no matter how introverted you think you are, no matter how much you think you don't like people, we all need people and want people in our lives because we are by default social creatures. Because there's not been a single person in the history of time who has not wanted/needed people at some point in their life. The next question is, how do you stay with your dream job if the first part of starting it is so tedious? I want to go into game development, but there are so many basics of coding and the engine you need to know. The truth is, if it's your dream job, you're going to have to make sacrifices. And the first sacrifice you're going to have to make is doing the parts of the dream job that you don't like. Every job has parts that we don't like. There is no job in the world that is fully 100% what we want and how we want it. What makes a dream job, in my opinion, is doing something that you both are fulfilled by and you are happy with the result of. So for example, if you really like helping people, odds are that being a fireman might be a good job for you because you get to save people from, burning houses, you get to get cats out of trees, you get to make people happy by helping them in intense emergency situations. But firemen have to do a lot of paperwork, and you absolutely hate doing paperwork, and you have to do these reports and make sure that everything is in the report because it could end in lawsuits and it can end in court cases and all these types of things. So you have to 100% do this paperwork. There's no way of getting around it. It's just a shitty part of the job, right? You're still fulfilled by what you're doing. You still love what you're doing. You still like the idea of helping people. And in that same regard, you have to learn coding before you can code. You have to learn how to deal with the game engine before you can use the game engine to your advantage. And honestly, it doesn't sound like you have that much of an issue because once you learn how to do these things, it's smooth sailing in terms of the learning department because it's easier. The hardest part is always starting. I don't mean to sound cliche and I don't mean to be that guy, but Starting something is always the hardest part. And who knows, you might start doing all this stuff in game dev and find out that your dream job isn't really game development. You might find out that you actually hate it, because it sounds like you haven't even really started it yet. The best thing you can do is start. Just today, start. Start going online and learning how to code. You can literally download Coding 101 in, I think, Java or something from Harvard. It's entirely free. Like, they have their actual 101 coding course for free online. And see what it's like. See what it's like learning coding from a Harvard professor or a Harvard course. In any case, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You have to do the shitty parts of your dream job because it is your dream job. It's part of the job. Best of luck to you. Next question by Mr. Chicken. Should I stress about having straight A's in school, and do my grades matter for my future? Thank you. So here's the thing. I personally was a straight A student in high school and in college. I personally was afforded the opportunity of going to college because of my straight A's in high school, because I was able to get scholarships. And then in college, for me to maintain those scholarships, I had to have good grades again. I think it was more like the high B's or something. I don't remember what the GPA had to be. I think it was like between 3.0 and 4.0. In that particular case, I think you should care about how well you do in school. Now, on the other hand, if you're somebody that knows that you don't want to go to college, if you're somebody who thinks, you know what, I want to go to trade school, or I want to do this with my life. Like, if you have a specific goal in mind of what you're doing, you don't have to have straight A's in school. You don't have to have the best grades in school to have a good future or have a good life. However, don't take that mindset and go for C's get degrees. A general rule of thumb is if you're going to do something, give it your all. Whether it's a hobby, give it your all. Whether it's a sport, give it your all. Just do your best. And if you can't, if you physically cannot, if you're trying and you just don't have the brain for it, you just don't have the mental capacity, or you just don't want to maintain a straight A B is fine. The world is not going to end if you get B's and C's. Now, if you go into D's and F's, you're going to have a problem. But school is not end all be all. It can be very helpful to be at the top of your class, as it was with me, and doing the work to get the A's in school one year might help you get the A's in school the next year without you having to try as much. So I guess to be more straightforward, should you stress about having straight A's in school, like entirely? Not necessarily. Do your grades matter for your future? Yes, they do. How much do they matter? Depends on what your goal is. Are you trying to get into Harvard? Your grades matter. And in fact, a lot more than just your grades. Are you trying to go to trade school? Probably not so much, but you still need to graduate. So keep that in mind. Best of luck, and I hope this helps. The next question is from the front. Hey, I love to watch your videos. Can't watch all, but I really do appreciate them. So let's come straight to the point. I'm currently 17 and I'm trying to find a hobby for myself which I can pursue as a career in my future. But my parents are suggesting me to go for a government job as it's more secure, has a decent paycheck, and they are in one too. But I just don't want to. I have tried doing video editing as a hobby and I am working on it for 5 years, yet things are not going as expected. I'm going to abbreviate this comment, but basically the front goes on to say that they're not getting the results they expected and are debating whether they should quit or not, because sometimes the speed that they're going at will never make them a video editor and they'll always be behind. So I'm struggling a little bit with the terminology of finding a hobby that you can turn into a career. It sounds a little bit like you don't even really know what the hobby is yet. You're just throwing things at the wall. And I don't necessarily think that's a great way to look for a career. When you want to turn a hobby into a career, you usually know exactly what that hobby is. You don't normally start with the idea that you want to turn any hobby into a career. You usually say, oh, I really like art. I'm going to try and turn that into a career. Or I really like making YouTube videos. I'm going to try and turn that into a career. But when you go with the notion of, I'll take any hobby and turn it into a career, you're sort of setting yourself up for failure because you're not really committed to the hobby itself yet. You're more so committed to the idea of it making you money. When you have that mindset, you'll always find it easier to switch up your hobbies rather than working harder at being better at said hobby before you can turn it into a career. So you use video editing as an example, and you said that it's taking you a while to do the, I guess, advanced level video editing stuff. Editing takes a while, okay? And for some people, it takes a lot longer than others. Believe me when I say I've been editing for over a decade now, okay? That's a long time, and I'm still learning things that some people would consider the basics sometimes. So I wouldn't worry too much about that part of the equation. You'll learn, especially if you get thrown into a situation where you need to learn quickly. Because right now, as you said, it's a hobby. You need a certain fire under your ass to learn things faster. But back to the main point of making this hobby your career, make sure you actually like this hobby enough. Because right now, based on the way I'm reading this, it sounds like you're kind of just going for the highest bidder in terms of hobbies that'll make you money. Now, let's go to a second part of this. Your parents are suggesting you to go get a government job that's more secure, decent paycheck, right? So here's the thing. Your parents are always going to offer you the most secure and safe thing that they know and they've done before because they know it works and they want the best for you. So I wouldn't fault them on that. Now, if you don't want to do that, then don't do that, okay? It's a good backup, especially considering they have experience in it and they also work in the government. So you can always kind of have that connection there. But if you really think that you're going to be unhappy doing that, then by all means, don't do it, okay? And then there's another piece in here where you say you don't think you have a choice anymore because your editing expertise hasn't gotten good enough fast enough. And you're asking if you should quit and do what your parents say. I don't think you should do what your parents say for sure. That's number one. But as far as you quitting, I don't think you should quit. I think you should try your hardest to work at it, become as good as you can. And if you find that you're not enjoying yourself at all, that's when you should quit. That's what happened with me. I started doing editing professionally, and I found out after almost a year that I didn't like it professionally. I very much enjoyed it as a hobby. Now, should you quit? You have to ask yourself this question. Are you unhappy because you're not seeing the results you want? Or are you unhappy because you are not happy with what you're doing? If it's the former, if you're unhappy with the results, you can always get better. You can always edit more, practice more. And that applies to any job. You can always do it more and longer and practice it more. And eventually you'll get those results. If you're now unhappy with the job and the concept and everything around it, then that's when you should quit. Because that's part of the process. That's what editing is. That's what you have to do. That's the job. And final point. You're only 17, okay? You have a major head start on people, okay? At 17, you have an intermediate level of editing expertise. Most people your age don't have that, okay? Most people your age are not going to start to edit until they're in their college years or something. So use that to your advantage, okay? Use that extra time to your advantage. And another thing is, most people at 17 don't know what they want to do with their life. The only thing most people know is that they want to be comfortable and do something they enjoy. But for you to do something you enjoy, in this particular case, you might need to try some new things, or you just might need to work a bit harder on your editing skills. And you shouldn't listen to your parents as far as the government job if you really don't want to do it. But it's not a bad backup. So I hope this helps. Best of luck, and on to the next question. The next question is from Palsky8. Hi Niko, love your vids. I'm currently studying an engineering degree. I pass my subjects without much effort. I hang out with friends and family, play video games, watch sports, etc. The thing is, I feel if I put more effort into my studies, I would be able to not just pass, but get really good grades, but I just don't feel motivated to do so. The thing is, everyone and everything around me tells me I should try and be excellent and put all the effort I can into things, and I just don't see the point. If anything, getting better grades will lead into a better job and therefore more money, which obviously I wouldn't mind, but I don't think having a better car or a huge house will really improve my life that much. To sum up, my question is, can I be happy with a simple, quiet life, or should I pursue something more? This is a great question, and I think a lot of people struggle with this specific question. The answer is, you can be happy with a quiet life, okay? You can absolutely be happy with what you have, and it seems like you are happy with what you have. You say you have decent grades, right? You do hang out with your friends and your family, you play video games and watch sports, which you like, and that's fine. That can be you. You don't need to have the turbo sigma grind set that everybody has in this country right now, and everyone around the world seems to be glamorizing through TikTok and Instagram Reels or whatever. If you are okay with where you are, then by all means, stay where you are. You don't have to put in more effort. However, if you want something more, and if you truly think you want something more, that's when you go for the more effort. You say you don't want a huge house or the highest paying job, that's fine. What you're doing is fine. If you think you can achieve everything you want with what you're doing, then you're on the right track. Don't let anyone tell you what they think you should be doing because they are on a different track than you, okay? I'll give you myself as an example. I constantly kick myself to do more and to do better in my life because I want more in my life. I'm not fully content with where I am. So that's what drives me to do more. Now, you might find in your life at some point that say, oh, I would like to do more, right? I would like to get a higher paying job. So maybe then you decide, oh, maybe I'll go back to college and get a master's or a PhD in engineering, whatever you would need to do, right? Maybe you start a family and you say, I need more money, to provide a better life for my family. That's when you make those changes. Now, what I will say is it's good to have the extra stepping stone. It's good to be ahead of the curve in case you want to achieve said curve in the future. So if you get amazing grades now, you can get the highest paying job already, and you still go for the lower paying job, the one that doesn't require as much effort and as much responsibility, that's fine. You still have the credibility or the skill set to do the higher paying job based on your schooling, right? Now, the schooling alone, of course, is not going to determine that, but you know what I mean. Now, I'm going to say something that might contradict a bit of what I'm saying here. I think in general in life that you should put the most amount of effort you can in everything you do. So if you can get better grades, why not go for it? But here's the thing. If you're going to sacrifice other things that you don't want to sacrifice in order to get those better grades, then I don't think you have to. Okay, I don't think you have to do that, especially if you're happy in your current situation. There's a lot of give and take, a lot of push and pull when it comes to things like this. So be wary of all of that. So to conclude, if you think that you're happy where you are, you don't have to move. You don't have to go higher. Not everything in life needs to be better and the best thing. Your mentality right now is actually one that I think more people should adapt. You can be happy with what you have without needing more. Thank you for your comment. Best of luck to you. And on to the next one. The next question is from Jonas. Hey dude, I'm 14 years old and I'm kind of having a hard time with some stuff. I'm doing fine in school and I got lots of hobbies, but they all require a screen. Speed cubing needs a timer, chess is just online, producing needs an app, and video games are the biggest waste. I want to play video games, I want to do all this stuff, but how do I know that I'm not wasting my life? I spend like a fourth or even half of my day on my phone and computer. I'm not really athletic, I'm bombarded with all sorts of advice and opinions, and I have a scrolling habit. I've kind of started with expressing my feelings more to the right people and getting out of my comfort zone. Yet I'm stuck. How can I not waste this summer? So first of all, you're 14 years old, okay? You have plenty of time to waste time. You have plenty of time to just have fun and do what you like. If you want to play video games, play some video games. If you want to speed cube, speed cube. You might not like to hear this, but you're still a teenager. You're still a kid. Do what you want. Now, if it feels like you are wasting your summer because you're not getting outside and you're not getting athletic, the easiest way to start is right now, as you're watching this video, I want you to get up, go outside for a walk. Just go for a walk. Go around your neighborhood, go around the block, go just take a little bit of a walk. Go outside, get some fresh air, and see how you like it. And then tomorrow, maybe go a little bit further. And then the next day, go a little bit further. Then the day after that, you might say, maybe I'll do more than walk. Maybe I'll run. Or maybe I'll go through this forest and explore a little bit. And that's how you kind of get yourself into doing other things that are outside of your comfort zone. Start small. Start with baby steps. If you don't feel like going on a full walk the first day, just go outside your door and sit on the porch. Okay, have a little glass of lemonade or soda or whatever you like. And I understand the stigma of being chronically online, okay? I was the chronically online kid. When I was a kid, I used to live near a beach, okay? Like I was 5 minutes from a beach and I couldn't stand the beach, okay? I didn't like the sea. I didn't like the salt water. I didn't like the sand. I just didn't like the beach. The only time I really went was when I was with my friends. Other than that, I would rather stay in and play video games for the most part because that's what I like to do. I like being inside and gaming. I don't think you're necessarily wasting your life by playing video games. It's a pastime. It's a hobby. It's something you like to do. Now, of course, there's a limit to everything, right? If you're always online and always doing just online things, maybe you can take a little bit of a break from it. Maybe you do just give yourself a limit on how much screen time you're getting. You can download different apps that will limit your screen time. But to answer your question more directly, a way not to waste this summer is to just do what you want. Do what you want this summer. You have school off. Play video games. Go out with your friends. Take a walk, change a habit that you want to change. And the way to start is just by doing baby steps, one thing at a time. You want to start playing basketball? Go to a local basketball court or buy a basketball, tie it to money, and then just bounce the ball around, even if you don't want to go to a court. And then eventually you'll get bored of bouncing the ball around and go to a court. Maybe you'll invite some friends. Maybe you'll make some friends there. Do what you want and make some baby steps. Hope this helps, and best of luck to you. The next question is from someone that I cannot pronounce the name of. I want to be an entrepreneur, but my parents are telling me to study so I can go to university and work for some boss, but I don't want to work a 9 to 5 for my whole life just to be part of the 95% of people. What do I have to do? For you to not go to university, for you not to do the 9 to 5 and everything, you need to prove to your parents that you can handle what entrepreneurship is. You need to prove to your parents, you have to sell to them rather, what your idea is, what your business plan is. You have to do your research and do your due diligence and say, look, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and you better be prepared to answer any question they have. If you say to them, you're going to build a company that sells doors, okay? You better be prepared to answer everything about doors to them. If they say to you, okay, you're selling doors, what makes them special? And you're going to have an answer for that. If they say, what kind of doorknob is going to come with each door? You better have an answer. You have to become an expert in whatever product you're going to sell, whatever service you're going to sell with your business and whatever you're going to do in order to convince your parents that you have a standing chance in doing whatever you say you're going to do. Now, there's always a chance, by the way, there's always the chance that your parents may not be supportive of this regardless of what you tell them. And that's the point where you have to make the decision to just disregard them. But that comes with the issue of they might kick you out. They might say, you're either going to college or we're not paying for any of your groceries and your housing. You're on your own. You have to be prepared for that. Part 2 of this equation is if you really don't want to do this 9 to 5 stuff, you better be prepared for what the other side of that is. Entrepreneurs work all the time and they work really hard, and a lot of times they fail and things don't go well, and sometimes they don't land on their feet. So before you go hating on the 9 to 5 life, make sure you understand what the entrepreneurship life is. And another part about you presenting your business plan to your parents and what you're going to do to your parents is that it's going to make it a lot easier for you to then have to present all of this stuff to someone who's going to invest in your business, because you're going to need investors and people who actually believe in your product before anyone is going to be even willing to put it on a shelf so that people can buy said product. Or same with a service. I'm sure there's a lot more that a more qualified person in business can tell you about this. So take everything I'm saying here with a grain of salt and get second opinions, lots of them. In any case, best of luck. I hope it all works out for you. And the final question is from PowerPlazLol725 ? Hey Niko, I'm a 19-year-old first-year university student who's frustrated with my love life. I've never been on a date my whole life so far. No girls have ever really showed interest in me, and all my high school crushes have rejected me. No one ever really told me I'm attractive, and I don't consider myself particularly handsome despite the fact that I go to the gym and exercise regularly. And seeing all my peers doing far better than me at getting girls and finding love is really starting to eat away at my confidence and self-esteem. I love your videos very much, as I find your advice very insightful. Okay, so I'm going to assume that you're a guy based on this comment, okay? If you're not, my apologies, but I'm going to answer it as if you are a guy. There are a few things you need to understand about the dynamics of male-female relationships, okay? First things first, the thing you gotta understand about girls is that most of the time, girls don't go for looks, okay? I've heard so many girls that say, I go for medium ugly guys because they have better personalities. You could look like an absolute troll, but if you're funny and witty and have interesting things to say and hobbies, girls will find you very interesting, and girls will actually like you better than the guy who's a meathead that goes to the gym. Okay. Now, that being said, you going to the gym can be a plus for certain girls. Certain girls actually really like muscular guys. Others do not. Others might like twinks. You know, it doesn't matter. Everyone has their type and whatnot. Don't work out just to get the girls. Work out for yourself, okay? Work out for your own health and well-being. Also, I understand. It sucks being rejected. It sucks not being anyone's pick. And it is really rough out there, okay? It's really rough out there, especially for us guys, because we're not the prize. Girls are considered the prize. So we have to make ourselves the prize by leveling up in life. And I have some more bad news for you. You're going to keep getting rejected, okay? It's going to keep happening, and there's no way you can avoid that. But the more girls you ask out, the more girls you talk to, the more girls you hang out with, the bigger and better your odds are of actually having one say, you know what, I will go on a date with you. Just like anything, it's a practice makes perfect game, okay? And the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll be talking to women. The more you do it, the more things you'll find to say to women, and it'll become a lot more casual for you, okay? When it becomes casual and you're not anxious and nervous, things will go a lot better for you, because girls can smell the anxious, the nervous, the scared. They can feel it from a mile away. It's a crazy skill they have. They're much better social creatures than us guys. You just got to treat it casually, okay? You have to make it playful. You have to make them think, oh, he's not like really bothered by my presence, and I know I'm pretty, but wait, what? Why is he not being thrown off by me? You have to be a little mysterious, and you have to be confident. Overall, you have to be confident. You have to think of yourself as that guy, okay? When you go walking up to a girl, you have to think of yourself as the guy who has everything while you have nothing, which basically means Be confident, but be humble at the same time. And I promise you, you will find so much more success by doing that. And the good thing about college is that everyone there is looking for love, dude. Everyone there is looking for a fling, a hookup, a relationship, something. So just keep asking girls out. Just go up to one that you think is attractive and say, hey, I saw you from over there and I really needed to talk to you because I think you're really attractive. And I was wondering if I could possibly get your Instagram or phone number or whatever the hell. Instagram is easier. Most girls will give it to you anyway. And she can only really say thank you to you calling her pretty. There's not really much else going on there. So it's a way of starting the conversation positively. And then from there, ask her name. And she might show interest back and ask you your name and make a compliment back. Some girls actually do that. And then from there, ask her to go out for coffee or ice cream. Something that's not a huge commitment, because coffee and ice cream can be a 15-minute date. Whereas if you go to a dinner somewhere, that can be like half an hour to an hour. And if you don't like her or she doesn't like you, there's a whole thing. I could go on and on about this for an hour, okay, about the possibilities of what you can do to talk to women. But it seems to me that all you really need is to ignore the past rejections. Those are all in the past. It's like they didn't happen. It's hard. I know it's hard, but you just have to trust me on this one. And act like you're the man. And hype yourself up. When you go to the gym, hype yourself up and say, you know what? I have these redeeming qualities and any girl would be lucky to have me. And if you kind of tell yourself that and you kind of just allow yourself to think positively about it, then girls will also start to think positively about you. Because they can see it in your demeanor. They can see it in the way you walk. They can feel it in the energy around you, that you're more confident than the average guy. So I hope this helps. It's kind of a ramble, but those are a few steps that you should take. But best of luck to you, and one will come around, brother. One will come around. And with that, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you would like me to answer your question, leave it in the comments below. And as always, good night and good luck, everybody.